And today I'll be talking about the fact that my ideas, your ideas, everybody's ideas suck. It's not really that they suck in themselves, but ideas are very, very cheap. Everybody can have ideas, everybody can imagine a future where they are successful and their ideas work. But most of the people do not see the road ahead. It's the most difficult thing to do because you're fighting against the current of not doing that idea. You're fighting against all of the years and all of the things that you have done and built momentum towards, especially if you have a job. It's the hardest thing to do to start another side thing and then that becoming your main source of income. It's like whenever you have an idea, you envision how the product, how the thing should look like, but you do not know what you do not know. You only can envision and can make plans for the things that you think are going to be a certain way. And usually people do the whole planning stuff and the implementation in the wrong way because they are thinking of making the thing instead of testing it. You should test to see if your idea sticks. And how long should you really test it? That's a very beautiful question. You have to test it for as long as you can until you really are convinced that it doesn't work. But most people fail at that as well. They either give up too soon or too late. So you have to find a medium. Like, if you think that making 10 videos is enough to decide if you are made for making videos, that's not really the case. You have to do about 100 or 200 videos in order to really get a feel for it. You don't have to post them, you don't have to do anything. They don't have to be long videos. They can be 2 or 3 minute videos. You can post only the ones that you like or not post at all, but you need to do about 100 to 200 videos of 1 to 2 minutes in order to really understand if this is something for you, because you need to see a bit of that exponential growth in the skill. And that is why most people fail at implementing their ideas. But their ideas suck for another reason as well. Their ideas are too unique, let's say. They do not have something like something else. They do not refer to other things. Like, you should be able to give analogies and say, this is like this, or this is like this, but a bit different. Because if you totally reinvent the wheel, there are probably 200 people who tried to do that already and they failed. Because the failure rate of doing something that hasn't been done before is astronomical. What you should do is have 90% that's already done and tested, and 10% do it differently. That's how you innovate, because you base your success on the 90%, and 10% you try things, try new things. Something like that would look like making 4 videos that you know are gonna perform a bit well. You're gonna be able to tell after 200 videos which ones will perform well, which ones will not. And then after 4 videos, you're gonna do one that is outside of the scope and the things that you know that are working. And you do this every time. So you build some that's actually 20%. It's a bit too much, but it does feel a bit better to do a bit more for yourself and venture outside of your comfort zone. So do 10 to 20% of the things that are new ideas, and keep the things that are already tested and have been proven to have a track record of success. And just because this channel is about emotions, you might feel that you are doing the right thing by not pursuing your goals and your ideas. But most of the time, it feels like you have a lot to lose, when in fact you don't have anything to lose. The biggest loss that you're going to have is ego. Ego is the killer of ideas. Whenever I've not done a lot of things is because I was thinking, oh, I'm so great, and the people don't appreciate it, and that's why I'm not successful, because they do not understand me and whatever. And that's bad, because you are not focusing on the things that are in your control, which is the skill. And who cares if you're doing great work and people don't notice? Who cares? Be happy about it instead of being bitter. If you notice a bit of bitterness in that thing that you are basing your pride and your ego on, if you see a bit of bitterness, that means you have to look at the problem once again to see if not you are blinded by your own emotions and your own thinking into believing this different and weird reality. We start things and we give up too early. And after that, we say, I tried that and it didn't work. But you need to ask yourself before you try, before you even try, you should be trying faster, but before you even try, this one question is really, really important. Ask yourself, how many repetitions do I have to do before I give up on this idea? Because you're eventually going to get demoralized for the lack of success. Well, if you get lucky, then you're going to be successful and you're going to see. But set a standard for when you're going to give up before you even tried. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but be like, I'm going to do 500 videos to before I give up on this idea, if your goal is to make videos. So that's the first thing, the first question. And the second question is, what do I want to get? Can I attach certain things to this idea that are not based on other people giving me stuff, like external things? Can I build this whole, let's give the example of a YouTube channel. Can I build this YouTube channel and get something other than success? And the reason to do those kinds of channels and to let's actually answer that question. What would you get out of building a channel? What would you understand? Would you think that you might understand how to use your cameras better, your microphone? Would you edit better? Would you become a better filmmaker? The answer is yes. Would you be able to be more comfortable in front of the camera? Yes. Would you be, I don't know, able to clear your mind and start thinking beautifully? Yes. Would you be able to articulate yourself better, which is an important skill in life? Yes. So these are what you should base your success on. Because if you base your success on external results, you're always going to be unsatisfied because you're never going to, I shouldn't say never, because you might get lucky. But basing your results on luck or predicting the future is not a very good idea. You should have a path where luck is diminished, not in the sense that you are not going to get it, but in the sense that you do not base your ideas on it. Because the more you rely on luck, the more it feels like gambling, and you don't build competence, you don't build confidence, and you do not understand the actual rules of what you are doing. And you're going to be lucky today and fail in the future, because being lucky means that you did something and you do not understand yet why it worked. So you are not going to be able to replicate it, which is bad if you didn't earn a life-changing amount of money or whatever you base your success on. So, yeah, be happy for being lucky, but realize that you have to understand why you've been lucky. And the way you actually understand it is try to replicate it and see if it works. Because if you replicate it and it doesn't work, then you have the wrong lens and the wrong glasses through which you see the world. Most people think that usually ideas are super important and they feel very like this pride, and not only pride, but they feel like they shouldn't share them with people. Nobody's going to steal your ideas because at this moment, you are not, well, let's talk about myself because it's a negative subject. At this moment, I'm not successful. Why would anyone think that my ideas would work? People do not steal ideas that are not tested. They steal ideas that are already come from people who have a track record of success and implementing those ideas, even if they steal them, it will not work because they are not the kind of person who can implement that ideas. So the sliver of the pie of people who are able to have ideas is very big. The people who can steal ideas is smaller, and the people who are going to be successful at stealing ideas, it's even smaller. And usually the only people who can implement those ideas are the people who are actually testing and implementing and seeing the results of their ideas and are successful at implementing ideas. That's why there is a saying that says successful become more successful and people who are unsuccessful become more unsuccessful, because there is this hump, there is this kind of like very steep slope that you are fighting against. It's like pedaling on a very high gear. It's like pedaling, hey, stomp. It's like pedaling on a high gear on a slope. You are battling gravity and almost impossible to start. And that's the whole point. And the more you go up, the steeper it gets until a certain point where it becomes flat. But once you do that, your results will feel like you've made it, you've succeeded. But in fact, you are on really level terrain, and the muscle that you've built along the way, the track record just pushes you forward, and it feels, even though it's a straight line, you're pedaling on a straight line, now it feels like you're actually accelerating because you're going down, even though there is no incline, because you have enough strength to just go. Let's talk a bit more about how to test ideas. You should test ideas and see how they work. Most people will tell you either, well, of course, because these are the two answers. This is going to work or this is not going to work, depending on how they view the world. But don't base that on don't base your success on what people think of your ideas. Most people don't know anything about ideas and how to implement them and if they work or not, because they do not have the data. And even if they had the data, they might not know what your final results will be or your skills will do with that idea. So you should really think carefully about who you ask about your ideas. Instead, you should actually go ahead and devise a plan for 10 minutes or 20 minutes. Most of the ideas do not need a plan for a few months. If you're planning for a few months, like not in advance, but the actual planning, if you are planning for a few months, your idea is too complex. And not only that, but now it's become this huge thing where you've envisioned your success, and it's basically daydreaming instead of doing. You should jump after 20 minutes or an hour, or the next day, you should jump on making the idea a reality, bringing it to life. The plan should be, what can I do today? What can I do today to bring this idea to life? And if you do that, you're going to be testing way better and becoming more successful in the process. Because whenever you fail at something, if you build some skills, if you remember the question that I posed, which is, what else can I get that is in my control to base my success on that? If you start stacking up those things, like speaking in front of the camera, becoming a better filmmaker, whatever, all of those things, if you can really stack them, at a certain point, your skill gap is so big that success is inevitable. And that's exactly what we want. We want inevitable success. And the way we do that is by failing. And it's good to succeed, celebrate the wins, but fail faster and fail smarter. So, how would you go about failing smarter? The way you fail smarter is you try to understand, what does the things that I've learned here apply to next? Like, okay, I failed at this idea, I failed to implement, not implement, but I failed. Well, if you failed to implement, then you should really think about why you failed to implement. Sit down and say, okay, this project, I've learned this about this project. I've learned how to not do things, this certain thing. I've learned about things about myself, which is I tend to get demoralized about 2 months in. I tend to lose focus. I tend to lose excitement. And okay, what can I do? I should base my, like, let's take the idea of excitement. Should you actually use excitement to do things? Yes, but be careful and always keep in mind, like have a note or something, a reminder that you should say, that it should say, success does not require excitement. So if you lose excitement, you have to find another thing to keep you going. Because if the moment you lose excitement, and I was this kind of person, jumping from project to another project to another project, and to a certain degree, I'm still that kind of person, but yet I try to tune and see how much momentum I can build. I give you the answer. I gave you the answer. In order to keep me going, because if you have momentum, you're going to be pushed forward instead of running after the excitement. So I try to do it as easy as it can be done for me to be successful. So that's the main thing here. Try to build momentum and make it very easy for you to succeed. The more you complicate the whole situation, the whole project, the harder it is for you to succeed. What you should do is make it easy for you to succeed and always have a backup plan for your success, like a backup, not plan, but process to fall back on if things get inevitably too complicated. Downsize. You know how to go back to the things that you were doing in the beginning to make it easy on yourself, just to win fast and to really progress, going back to the basics. That's the whole purpose. Like, if I would have wanted to go, let's take these videos for instance. If I would go back to the basics, I would just not move the camera as much. I would make it so easy for myself to just stay with the camera in one area and just talk. That would mean that I would have to be a lot more careful, because now I'm changing the camera whenever I stumble and fumble my words. So I would go back to that. I would do shorter videos and I would not look at them as much. So that's the main thing. You have a process that you set out to be the minimum requirement for your success. So I don't say that. If you're still here, this idea is deeply profound, because if you complicate things from the start, you rob yourself from knowing what's the bare minimum. What imagine just you did the bare minimum and you were successful. If you are complicating things and you're trying to make the most perfect thing, you are not really noticing what works and what doesn't with bare minimum. So start with the bare bones idea because you might get success that way. And if you rob yourself and you of this opportunity to just be successful with less, with less effort, with less thinking, with less complications, you shouldn't do that. Why would you rob yourself from, why would you stop yourself from doing this, from getting success with the bare minimum? If you can actually just get success by doing the least amount of effort, even though you think the packaging and the whole project is not good, still you're getting the success. So be careful to not complicate things too much so that you give yourself the opportunity to succeed with less. Most people overcomplicate their first project and their first thing, and they spend days, months creating it. And right now, it's a good idea, mediocre execution, way overcomplicated. And instead, okay, I have mediocre execution, but I have a simple idea, which means I can do way faster and get better faster. So in the morning, we talked about the idea of implementation being very, very important. And of course, you would wonder what would that look like? And it looks just like this. You build a system, a template, something that you do beforehand, like for instance, a holotropic meditation. You do something that you build a checklist to know exactly what you need, like the light, the microphone is plugged in, checking the microphone. Everything is as a ritual. You are doing it as a ritual and you lower your standards. You lower your standards and you do the best that you can. You judge yourself afterwards. And whenever you judge yourself, do not judge yourself on your performance. Try to do it later in the process. Instead, focus on the system that you've built, what you can improve before the skill. Like you need to improve your workflow all the time in order to become more efficient. Look at the things, have a timer. I actually have one just over here and set it just going. It just goes and see where you spend most of your time. Do you spend it on editing? Do you spend it on redoing shoots? Do you spend it on not having content? Do you have a problem when transferring files? Find the solutions and lubricate all the wheels and all the gears that are moving in order to be as efficient as the most efficient thing that you do. You should actually be borrowing efficiency from other places. Like if you can be very efficient at something, notice what makes you efficient at that. And you can borrow it. You can understand why you are efficient. If it's only the skill level, then you know it's only the skill level. But if it's something else, the way you think, the way you go about doing things, then you might be able to extract some efficiency tips that only work for you. So it's like a bespoke tool that you use for efficiency, you use to really make everything more productive because it's built for you. And afterwards, you can generalize it and put it to use for other people, have them sharing the tool, whatever. Just build templates and tools that are specifically for your needs. This is the most important thing that I've learned in the last 2 months is that if you build something that you can use 1,000 times, then that thing becomes more and more useful the more you use it. Like for instance, templates in DaVinci Resolve when it comes to editing, and not only templates, but workflows. Know exactly what you are doing. And efficiency just gets so much easier when you streamline the process. I sit down and I put small boxes in Obsidian. It's a program for note taking. And I make small boxes with all the things, all the workflow, and then I break it down and see how much time and where is the bottleneck. And then I ask the question, what can I do to improve this time? So you do that every 2 weeks or a month, and you will improve your workflow. But do not try to speed up your learning curve when it comes to skills. That's gonna just frustrate you and make you feel very bad about yourself. A lot of people will make you believe that it's all about the skill, and it is, but they also tell you something else, that it's about the knowledge, when in fact it's all about the practice. And if you practice consistently and deliberately, you will get better and you will notice what you like, what you don't like, what you should keep, and what you should throw away. So that's the purpose of this video, to make you realize that you should judge the process, the workflow, and not yourself. And when it comes to judging yourself, you should only judge yourself from the output. Did I do what I set out to do? Not from the success that is outside of you. So you put the judgment on the outside, and when it comes to your own standards, you only judge yourself based on the things that are in your control. Because if you put them outside of yourself and you say, I'm not successful because whatever, I am not successful because I don't have the views, I don't have the money, you are putting that outside of yourself. Instead, you should put it onto yourself, as if thinking like, did I do the workout today? Did I do the meditation? Did I do what I set out to do? And I think that's just about it for this topic. I'm gonna speak about emotions a bit. I felt very, very happy and excited today, and it felt so great to embody that excitement. It's been a very productive day. I felt amazing the whole way through. I didn't feel any bad emotions at any point. I did, however, spend a lot of money today because I bought a new camera and another iPad. I sold my iPad 5 days ago, which is crazy. And now I bought the same color, the same iPad for cheaper than I sold it. So it's basically crazy. I couldn't pass the opportunity. It was resealed, like people returned it, and it was a return. And it was amazing to notice how much more productive I am after 13 days of meditation. I'm doing a 30-day meditation challenge where I meditate every day 2 hours. And this was day 13. And I was very, very productive. I did the meditations, I worked, I edited, I delivered some things to two clients, and crazy. And I don't feel tired at all, even though I think it's, I don't know what's the time. I'm gonna look at the time. It's 3:20 in the morning. So yeah, I just don't feel tired. It's as if I just woke up. And it's just amazing to have this much energy during the day and not really have any struggles during the work process and anything else. I was thinking of actually filming another work video. I don't know if I'm gonna do that because I need to edit off of the camera, which is a bit more interesting and it keeps the camera busy, but I cannot film with it while it's rendering the videos. I'm noticing all the time that I'm looking at myself in the beautiful thing. I don't know what I'm gonna see, but it's like I should be looking into the lens, because I've noticed when editing that I don't really look all the time in the lens, which is a good practice to just look over there and see the beautiful black circle that is the lens. And yeah, I've learned a lot. I tattooed today, and I'm feeling hopeful. That's the thing. I bought a camera and an iPad. Both are returns, and both are crazy deals. Like, I got a 20% discount on both, and they both sell for more on the used market. So I'm probably going to sell them anyway at some point to buy the house, but I'm not losing money on that deal. I'm just hoarding equipment. I might sell this camera to make up for the loss. Well, not loss. I didn't lose anything. I am actually profiting from the fact that I have a new iPad. I'm gonna film some courses on the iPad, and also I'm gonna sell it afterwards. Film like 5 or 10 courses and then sell it. And yeah, that's gonna be a interesting day. And I'm also gonna use the two cameras if I have them. I'm gonna go out more to film outside. I'm gonna bring you with me with the vlogging camera. This is a vlogging camera, but it's not a very good vlogging camera. And it's a better studio camera than a vlogging camera. That's why I got it for the studio. I didn't expect to vlog, but I am going to vlog. I'm gonna be a vlogger. And I think that's enough. Today was March 1st, 2024, and see you tomorrow.